If you're interested in voting for what I watch next, as I have just finished Death Note, there's a replacement poll under the community tab on my channel. Feel free to give that a look and pick a show if you're interested in seeing me react and discuss it at all. What's up? I'm Grizz. Welcome, episode 3 of season 2 Jujutsu Kaisen. Another really good episode last week, but left us on a particular cliffhanger that I can't seem to still wrap my head around exactly what ended up happening. Well, Fushiguro continues to kind of just let his plan and whatever he's doing here play out, and he seems to only want to work for one total hour. Down the backstretch, it does appear that Geto and the maid lady ended up getting kidnapped some sort of way. Or at least she did, and he was with her, so we don't know exactly what happened to him, if he got into like a fight or something, or got distracted, or lost her, or he's involved in this some sort of way. We have no idea, and that's kind of what I can't wrap my head around. And I'm actually very curious to see exactly what happened and how exactly they plan to kind of resolve this, or at least explain what happened. If you like it all, hit the like and subscribe. Do mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for discussion. Please leave any comments with this episode or series. Let's get going though. Episode 3 again, but all right. This episode doesn't do a lot for the, I guess, narrative of like going in deep with like, I guess, characters and trying to understand like reasons and stuff, or maybe the way they act and like progressing the story more on that front. But it does go deep with the progression of what the future holds for us. We've known since the beginning, because we've specifically talked about this on the, I think actually every episode, both of them so far, I've touched on what I think this could mean. In the intro specifically calls this hidden inventory / premature death arc, right? So I've touched on who the premature death possibly is every time. And I was pretty certain Rico was going to be the one that was gone. How that happened, I wasn't too sure of. Or it was going to be somebody else within the school, but she was the one I was kind of banking on here, that was going to happen. Now we get that specifically in such a fascinating, jaw-dropping moment almost. I mean, I unfortunately like said it as it was happening. Like I realized things seem a little too good right now, like with her accepting the fact that she no longer wants to do this anymore. So it all became obvious at that point what was about to occur. But really, really cool nonetheless that we went such a interesting route going here. Multiple unexpected things from my part as well. Not expecting Fushiguro to be so overwhelming and completely overpowering to Gojo. Not at all was what I was expecting, and it really just showed how like excellent, I guess, of like I don't even got the right word for it, but his ability to kind of read situations and plan them out, while he doesn't seem like that type of person in the slightest from what we've kind of observed and seen so far. But his ability to kind of understand these situations and plan everything out the way that he has been absolutely excellent so far. Absolutely loved the idea of us kind of doing this to wear out Gojo, us being able to get a little bit of backstory in a way of him understanding that he's been kind of keeping his eye on this kid since he saw him years and years ago. And he understood from a certain point that the only way I can beat him is to kind of wear out his senses in a way, to the point that if I appeared behind him, he wouldn't be able to sense me, which is exactly what we're able to do. It also makes the entire fight so much more special in that way, because you don't have your typical overpowered Gojo. You don't have the typical one where you can't touch him due to the infinity. You can't like do literally anything to him because he can sense everywhere that you are. This guy is completely sleep deprived. He's got nothing really going for him here, and he's completely caught off with everything that's happening. And then on top of that, put somebody like Fushiguro, who's like incredibly fucking fast, and you can do like absolutely and incredibly strong, I guess, for that as well. And literally is on par, it seems like, with him. If Gojo was probably like full strength, I'm assuming at this point, they're at least on par with each other. But now, considering that he's so worn down and everything plan has been successful at that point, Fushiguro just stomps all over him. He's so much of a force and so overwhelming that Gojo literally can't do anything. We don't see him hit a single thing. And Gojo does some pretty fucking impressive things from what we can see, and it does absolutely nothing. Constantly getting faked out, believing, oh, he's going to be going after Rico. Oh, fuck, like, and immediately turns, and then, oh, shit, never mind, he's right behind me. Like, not being able to sense these things, not being able to be fully aware is really, really cool. I thought that was so cool. That fight was also excellently done, the way it was. It was very smeary, the way that they kind of did it, but I think that was a good thing, the way it was. I'm gonna go back there actually and slow it down a little bit and look at some of the frames, but it was so like, for the fact that they didn't have to overly detail anything, and they made everything kind of noticeable, like you could follow the patterns and follow what was happening, no issues at all, and it made the key moments really pop and stand out. I think it's a really excellent choice direction wise for them to kind of take this. And I know a lot of people were complaining, I guess, based on like trailers and stuff, that the animation and like the style change was off and they didn't like certain things. But I honestly, I think I like that a lot more. It makes it kind of pop a little bit more and it's a lot more fun of a way to kind of play around with those moments, and it makes them a bit more entertaining for me. So I actually really like that. The most important moment and thing that kind of comes is Shigeru completely fucking clapping Riko at the end after she has this full determination and understanding that she no longer wants to kind of be one with Tengen in any sort of way, and she wants to live her life and be the person that she is. That's interesting for a couple things. First, I think that's really cool that Geto and Gojo kind of had this conversation and both agreed that they weren't comfortable enough forcing somebody to do something that they don't want to. So if she made this decision that she did not want to, that they were going to back her 100% and they were going to go out of their way and protect her at all costs. And I think that's such a cool thing from the both of them, especially somebody like Gojo, who's kind of led me to like believe that he's not like a good person. And I mean good person is in like typical, like, I want to save everybody, like shonen type of thing. Like, to me, he just seems like if people aren't like strong or useful in any sort of way, he doesn't necessarily want to go out of his way to protect them or save them, which I think is things that he's even said before. So the fact that like, if Riko decides that she doesn't want to do this and then he also doesn't make that decision, she's not somebody from what I can see who has like all this potential and talent and stuff to be like a sorcerer or whatever the case might be. So for him to willingly make this decision and be like, yeah, I'm willing to kind of protect her and not force anything on her, I think is really, really cool. And I actually like that a lot. But I just like how him and Geto kind of came together and both were in agreement of what their plans kind of were here, even though we've seen them kind of disagree on what they should do with people who are weaker than them and stuff like that and how they should kind of plan things out. Then Fushiguro comes in, kind of fucks shit up in such an epic moment. But it poses something more interesting here, in my opinion. What is the deal with Tengen? What happens now? Because he no longer has the vessel that he needs anymore. So what exactly do we do? Because we know from the present timeline, Tengen still has his barrier active. That's literally something that's a thing. So Tengen clearly doesn't go anywhere at this point. So I'm assuming they find somebody else, or they don't need Riko to be living to be able to do it, or they just... I don't know. I don't know what the case is, but I'm assuming that something like that goes. That's why it's more interesting, but I can't even begin to form fucking theories on the direction that they're going to kind of take there. I'm assuming, I believe this is 5 episodes, right? So I'm assuming we're going to get 2 more now of like at least 1 to 1.5 of strictly Geto versus Fushiguro, and assuming Gojo doesn't like actually be dead here or something happens and he's able to kind of keep himself alive. I'm assuming he gets into the fight and shit really goes down. I have no predictions or ideas as if Fushiguro ends up living through all this. Like, I literally couldn't even tell you. I want to say like we're gonna end him here, but like at the same time, I feel like, why do we have to? You know, he can easily just get away and we have to leave it at that, right? Because he did his job, so he doesn't actually have to fight Geto here. Like, he can just kind of run and do what he has to. So I actually don't even know the route that he plans to take there. I also wonder what it is, because we know after this arc something's gonna happen. Like, by the end of it, that Geto and Gojo kind of go separate ways in a way. Something happens. So is it like I said, where maybe Riko doesn't actually die, or maybe she does, but we can still use her in some sort of way, and Geto's like very against that still, and Gojo just like doesn't give a fuck and like he kind of changes up and backs up on his word of like whatever. Or no, I don't know. I don't think that would be it actually, but I really don't know what the fuck. I don't know. There's got to be something, and I'm still not keying in on what exactly it would be that kind of grew them apart here. Maybe it's just the fact that they like lost the fight. Like, I don't know how that would be the case, but I don't know. I'm really excited to kind of just see where they go, though. Just gonna skim through the episode a little bit and see some things. So specifically, the kidnapping and stuff that happened in the last week actually didn't end up happening, as we find out that they kind of just walk in and stomp all over them, which is like the funniest shit to me ever. And then we have our mandatory beach episode because they didn't get one in season 1, so they gotta fit one in somewhere here, which I think is the funniest shit. So we just figure out it was like absolutely nothing, and they kind of just tried to keep us away for time reasons or whatever. I really don't even understand. Maybe it was just enough so that they could get back and Fushiguro could be the one who like finishes them off. Like, I don't know. exactly what it was. But we had a lot of really just fun, sweet slice of life moments. We finally get to see Nanami again, which was really, really cool. Just introduce him. The guy on the left, I can't remember for the life of me, so I don't know if he's involved. And if he's not, just I guess he's not important. But if he is, just let me know who he was. Just so I'm at least aware. And like I said, lots of fun slice of life moments, be able to kind of just let her live out and extend her life even longer and do exactly the things that she wants to before it's kind of all over. Really, really cute stuff. And I actually like these scenes a lot. Then we get the whole shit of being in the aquarium and the water and everything, which kind of references where we're going to end at later. I still don't even understand like symbolism reasons for this, which I'm assuming because they specifically put her in it. Is it just because she was drowning later on, or like at one point in her life she felt like that, with everything kind of, she's losing it in a way, like suffocated in a way within this water. And then there's kind of like a light that kind of comes to her, and her kind of having friends and family and stuff, and she wants to find her way out in a way, like swim her way out. Is it more of something along those lines? I don't know. I'm just reaching at things at this point. This is when shit really starts kicking off, though, when Shigeru shows up and just absolutely pierces Gojo, which is, I think, is such a smart move. As we already talked about, we get the flashback, him specifically being like, fuck, nobody's ever seen me before like this, or felt my presence at least, like specifically when I stand behind them. So he already knew from a young age that this kid was fucking different at that point. And also it's interesting just to note he has this mark on his lip already, so that literally isn't like a important thing, I guess. I don't know. I just try and pay attention to like scars, because specifically we have Utahime, who has like her big ass one, and we don't know where the hell that came from, and Geto has his on his forehead, which we still don't actually know where that came from. I have guesses, but those are things I'm assuming we'll find out in the next arc after this, because he didn't end up having it from the movie, so we're just assuming that he got it after we believed that he was dead when he actually wasn't, and something came along and kind of helped him. Some really fun stuff though, as basically Gojo's like, nah, don't worry, I got this, and sends Riko to be on her own, with Geto being with her and being able to kind of protect her. And then we have some really fucking cool shit with the fighting here, and everything just, I don't know, it just looks so good to me. Shigeru is so smart, the things that he does too, being able to send out all these fucking flies and everything, and crowd the space in a way, make it even harder for Gojo to try and sense somebody that he's already struggling to, but also see the things around him, and allow himself to kind of hide between these things. And then Gojo being like, oh fuck, he's going after her, and then immediately he's like, oh shit, everybody's behind me, and he just pierced me in the fucking neck. And instead of just doing that, he completely just drags it around his body and pierces everything of him, completely immobilizing him in a way, which is fascinating way for them to kind of do it. I kind of hope he's like, he survives through this. Not Gojo, because we know he does, but Shigeru, like, I'm kind of hoping he does, because I think it'll make things a lot more interesting in the next arc in like the present timeline if they hire him to kind of go against Gojo, and then Gojo gets to like refight him again, and like at a different strength and power, like this type of way. Like, I think that could be really, really fun. But I don't know. We get to our bottom floor. We specifically start having the whole conversation. Firstly, actually, before that, this place looks fucking dope. I think this is so cool, the way that looks. Anyways, we get our conversation specifically about them being like, there's a moral thing to this, and we don't feel comfortable forcing somebody into things that they don't want to do, especially losing their life in a way. So if you don't want to, we already agreed, we're going to help you and we're going to protect you. Do what you want. We get her whole backstory in a way of her finally finding purpose in something and being happy and being like, okay, I want to go home. I have people who care for me now. And then fucking domed. Which is just the funniest shit to me, because it was like, you knew it was gonna happen. Like, you knew it was gonna happen in that moment. That's so good. And then we set up our altercation of what we're gonna get next week, which is cool. Great episode. Fucking fantastic. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going overly into it, like theories and stuff that are kind of happening. Just gotta let it breathe. And I'm excited to kind of see what happens. I think I'll just make a few like predictions, so I'll have to stand by them in some sort of way. I'm assuming we find somebody else for Tengen, or there's somebody else set up, and it wasn't like end of the world if Riko ended up dying here. I'm assuming that's the case, and they just kind of like capped to us this whole time, but just tried to express it in a way to like Gojo and Geto be like, this is like a serious thing, because they know they like to fuck around, right? I'm assuming it might be something like that. I also believe she could have just been like you can still use her even if she's not alive or something. But I think the most likely one is we just end up getting somebody else at some other point who can do this. Gojo, we know for a fact, isn't dead, so that'll be a claim I make there. I'm assuming Geto loses this fight too, and I'm assuming the fight that Gojo and him kind of get into about like them going different paths at this point was specifically a result of them realizing that they might not be the strongest anymore and getting into an argument about something for whatever reason. And I think that's the roughest way that I can kind of just assume things that are going to happen. I believe we'll get most of these fighting like next episode, and then wrap up with some like maybe story shit at the end of the fifth one. And if not, then it'll be like the halfway through the fifth one we'll finally start getting some actual like shit. I don't know. I liked it though. I got nothing to complain about. Thank you very much if you watched and made it to this point. If you liked it, I'll hit the like and subscribe to mean a lot to me. Feel free to leave any comments about this episode or this series. Let me know what you thought overall. You're looking forward to just anything. If you're anime only, got any predictions or things you want to make or things you want to point out that maybe you noticed, I'd be interested in seeing. Feel free to check out the other videos in the channel. Also, feel free to participate in that poll that I put at the beginning. If you go to my community tab, you can be able to find that. That'll be running for probably almost a week. I'll be back for the fourth episode next week, though. You guys have a good one. See ya.